Welcome to part 1 of my Gwent tutorials. My name is Kathreena and I'm going to be teaching you how to play Gwent. Whether you're a beginner or you've played Gwent before or you just want to get better, I got you. I can teach you all of that. So let's start with the basics. What is Gwent? Gwent is a card game about strategy and war. It originally came from the Witcher books, but then it was implemented into The Witcher 3, the video game, as an optional mini game. Now it's an actual real life game that you can play with your friends. Let's break it down. The game is a 1v1 card game. Each player chooses their own faction, which is just a fancy word for deck. Like the equivalent of saying you want to play the black diamonds instead of the red hearts. But instead of hearts and diamonds, it's the type of army you're choosing to fight for you. But we'll get more into that later. Each faction or each deck consists of at least 25 cards or at most 40 cards. But per game, you're only allowed to pick 10 cards. And at the beginning, you're allowed to redraw 2. Choose wisely what cards you want to play with because those are the only cards you get the entire game for the most part. When you put a card down, you're not just throwing it into a pile, you're putting it onto a board. This is what the board looks like on the game, and this is what the board looks like in real life. Ignore the size for now, I'll explain what that is later. And the board is divided into 3 sections: close combat, range, and siege. Close combat cards can only go in close combat. Mid-range cards, or like archery, can only go in the mid-range section or range. Then long-distance cards are called siege cards, and these go at the very bottom. The game runs best 2 out of 3. Close combat cards can only attack close combat cards. Mid-range can only attack mid-range, and siege to siege. The objective of the game, or to win, you have to have the higher number between the 2 players at the very end. The higher the number, the more powerful the card is. So remember, because we only have 10 cards, and once you play a card, typically it's gone for the rest of the game. It's really considered a strategic game because it's not about just how you win, it's when you decide you're going to win. So an example of that would be like, for your first round, you played 8 cards because your opponent's 2 cards numbers were so high, you just were like, I have to beat them. Now you have 2 more rounds to play, but you only have 2 cards left. You pretty much lost the game entirely because you only have 2 cards left to play, which is why it's so important to take the opportunity to pass, because each player is allowed 1 chance to pass each round, and once you pass, you're not allowed to play at all for the rest of the round. But if you know your opponent just played a really crazy card, passing would be the better option instead of throwing out your entire hand. Do not worry too much about the gameplay. I just wanted to give y'all a short rundown of the rules, and later we'll go over the gameplay for real. I hope you guys enjoyed my intro to Gwent tutorial. Stay tuned for part 2 where I'm going to be explaining the basics of the gameplay. I love y'all. Stay cute. Stay blessed. Bye.